Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every person's life when they must stop waiting for opportunity to knock and build the door themselves. That time is now. And the person responsible for building it is you. You were not born to drift like a ship without a rudder. You were not placed on this earth to merely exist. You were born with the power to think, and more importantly, to direct your thoughts toward a definite purpose. Success is not an accident. It is a deliberate act of will. It begins with a burning desire, a white-hot obsession to accomplish something specific, something meaningful. But desire alone is not enough. One else will. The greatest battle you will ever fight is with your own inertia, your own excuses, your own fear. And if you don't learn to defeat them, they will defeat you. So I say this to you with the utmost urgency. Take control of your thoughts, take control of your emotions, and take control of your life. You do not need permission to be great. You do not need the approval of others to pursue your dream. You only need one thing, an unwavering decision. Once you decide, truly decide, that you will achieve your goal, then no setback, no criticism, and no temporary defeat can stop you. Persistence is the iron quality of success. It is the ability to keep going when the world says stop. It is the courage to rise after failure and say, I will not be denied. You have within you the power of faith, not just in a higher power, but in yourself. When you believe in your purpose and back that belief with continuous action, the universe begins to move in your favor. Doors will open. People will appear. Opportunities will unfold, but only after you've proven that you will not give up. So force yourself to rise early. Force yourself to work longer. Force yourself to read, to learn, to grow. Force yourself to follow through when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Because that is the moment your character is being forged. This is not about comfort. This is about conquest, not of others, but of your own limitations. Success belongs to the one who refuses to quit. Make up your mind. Burn the bridges behind you. Say to yourself, I will achieve this goal or I will die trying. That, my friends, is how all great victories are won. So, get up. Stand tall. Force yourself forward and watch as the world makes way for the person who knows where they are going. Success begins with a definite purpose. This is not merely a suggestion. It is the cornerstone of all meaningful achievement. Without a clear, burning purpose, life becomes a series of scattered efforts, each lacking the focus needed to produce significant results. A definite purpose acts as the guiding star of your life, giving direction to your thoughts, energy, and actions. When you have it, every decision becomes easier, every action becomes more intentional, and every obstacle becomes a challenge to overcome rather than a reason to quit. The majority of people go through life reacting to circumstances rather than creating them. They drift from one job to another, one idea to another, never truly committing to anything because they haven't taken the time or developed the courage to define exactly what they want. But history shows us that every person who has ever accomplished anything of lasting value first began with a clear and definite goal. Whether it was Thomas Edison pursuing the electric light, Henry Ford revolutionizing transportation, or any ordinary person rising above extraordinary odds, their success was born from the same root, a definite purpose backed by unwavering commitment. When you decide what you truly want, deeply, passionately, and specifically, you begin to unlock mental powers you never knew you had. The mind, when focused, becomes a magnet for ideas, people, and opportunities aligned with your purpose. Clarity sharpens the senses. You start noticing things that would have passed you by before. Your subconscious begins working on your behalf, often while you're asleep, pulling together the resources needed to move you toward your goal. But a definite purpose must be more than just a passing thought or a vague desire. It must be a white-hot obsession, something you think about constantly, something you're willing to sacrifice for. Vague wishes like I want to be successful or I want to be rich are not definite purposes. They lack precision and emotional charge. A true purpose sounds more like, I will build a business that helps 100,000 people transform their health within 5 years, or I will become the top salesperson in my company by the end of this year. Specific, measurable, time bound, and emotionally charged. That's what gives a purpose its power. Having a definite purpose also gives you resilience when setbacks occur, and your purpose will give you the strength to persist. You won't be derailed by every failure because you'll see each one as a lesson guiding you closer to your goal. Without that clarity, failure feels like the end. With it, failure becomes a stepping stone. In the end, success does not favor the talented or the lucky nearly as much as it favors the determined, and determination is born from purpose. When you know what you want and are willing to pay the price for it, the world is a strange way of stepping aside for you. So, if you want to begin your journey toward real success, start by answering one simple but profound question. What is my definite purpose? And once you know it, commit to it with everything you've got. Desire in itself is powerful. Powerful. It is the spark that ignites ambition, the feeling that stirs the soul when we think of achieving something greater than ourselves. But desire alone, no matter how intense, accomplishes nothing without action. The world is full of people who want to be successful, who dream of wealth, love, health, freedom, but wanting and dreaming are not enough. The difference between those who wish and those who achieve is that the achievers take consistent, determined action toward their goals. They do not merely hope, they do. Desire is the seed of success, but unless that seed is planted in the soil of effort and watered by persistence, it will never grow. You may sit for hours visualizing your future, feeling inspired by your dreams, and filling your mind with positive thoughts. But if you don't move your feet, pick up the phone, write the page, make the call, or do the work, then all of it remains fantasy. The universe does not reward intention alone. It rewards action. It responds to movement, to energy and motion, to work that is aligned with purpose. The greatest plans in the world are worthless without execution. Think of how many people make New Year's resolutions with passion and desire burning in their hearts. For the first few days, they act, but soon the action fades and they fall back into old patterns. Because desire was not anchored to discipline, because they waited to feel like it rather than committing to the process, even when motivation wore off. True desire does not wait for perfect conditions. It does not need approval, applause, or a guarantee of success. It acts in spite of fear, in spite of uncertainty, in spite of inconvenience. When you want something deeply enough, you will move through resistance. You will face discomfort. You will battle fatigue. And you will silence excuses. Your actions will reflect your desire, not contradict it. Many people deceive themselves by mistaking excitement for progress. They attend seminars, read books, talk about their goals, and surround themselves with motivation. But unless those inputs are transformed into output, they remain stagnant. Persistence is the iron quality of success. It is the quiet force behind every great achievement, the unwavering commitment to keep moving forward when everything around you suggests you should stop. Talent can give you a head start, intelligence can offer you a sharp edge, and luck may open a few doors. But without persistence, none of those advantages will carry you to the finish line. Persistence is the ability to continue when it's hard, to get up after falling, and to try again even when the world says no. The truth is that success rarely comes quickly or easily. Most people fail not because they lack ability or opportunity, but because they give up too soon. They face resistance, rejection, or temporary defeat and decide that it wasn't meant to be. But those who persist understand that obstacles are not signs to quit. They are tests. They are the universe asking, how badly do you really want this? And those who continue in the face of adversity prove not only their desire, but their strength of character. Every major breakthrough in history is the result of persistence. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Colonel Sanders had his chicken recipe rejected over 1,000 times before someone said yes. These stories are not just inspiring, they are proof that persistence is more powerful than any single failure. Temporary defeat is not the same as permanent failure. The only true failure is quitting. Persistence also builds momentum. Each time you choose to keep going, even when progress is slow, you develop mental toughness. You learn. You grow. You become more skilled, more resilient, and more focused. That internal strength accumulates and compounds. So, eventually, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable, not because the road became easier, but because you became stronger. There is something deeply transformational about choosing not to give up. It changes the way you see yourself. You begin to trust your own ability to push through discomfort. You stop waiting for ideal conditions and start relying on your own determination. This self-trust becomes a superpower. When others retreat in fear or fatigue, you keep going. Not recklessly, but with purpose, vision, and the knowledge that persistence is often the very thing that separates winners from those who almost made it. To be persistent does not mean being stubborn or blind. It means being adaptive. It means being willing to learn from failure, adjust your approach, and keep pressing forward with new insights. Persistence is not repetition, it's evolution under pressure. It's commitment refined through effort. In the end, the most successful people are not those who never struggled, but those who refused to surrender. They saw the goal, they faced the difficulty, and they chose to persist anyway. Let that be your story. When others stop, you go on. When others doubt, you believe. When others doubt, you believe. And when the world asks who has the courage to see their dream through to the end, let your persistence be the answer. Force creates momentum. It is the act of pushing yourself into motion, even when you don't feel ready. That generates the energy needed to keep going. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they act, but that's a trap. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the wind. If you wait to feel inspired before you begin, you'll find yourself stuck in place, watching others pass you by. The truth is simple but often ignored. Action comes first, motivation follows, and that first action requires force. Force means doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. It means waking up early when you'd rather sleep, showing up to work when it's uncomfortable, studying when your mind is tired, and taking the first step toward your goal even when the path ahead is unclear. This deliberate application of willpower is what separates high achievers from the rest. They don't rely on emotion, they rely on discipline. They don't ask, do I feel ready? They say, I will begin now. Once you take that first step, no matter how small, something powerful happens. Your brain shifts. Your body responds. Momentum begins to build. High. Like a heavy flywheel, the initial push may feel hard, even unnatural. But each push after that becomes easier. And with enough consistent effort, you reach a point where the wheel spins almost effortlessly. That's momentum. And it never comes by accident. It is forced into existence. People often confuse force with pressure, but they are not the same. Pressure is what the world puts on you. Force is what you apply to yourself. It is internal power, self-initiated and controlled. You don't force action out of punishment, you force action out of purpose. You do it because the vision you hold is more important than your excuses, more important than your comfort. Force also builds confidence. When you prove to yourself that you can act despite resistance, you begin to trust your own strength. That trust grows with every disciplined decision. Soon you're no longer waiting for ideal conditions, you're creating them. You no longer fear failure because you know you have the ability to act again and again. That's where unstoppable momentum comes from, not from luck or ease, but from repeated forceful starts that lead to powerful flow. Think of the greats, athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, artists. They didn't coast their way to excellence. They forced themselves to practice, to show up, to push past limits until what was once difficult became second nature. And the moment they stopped waiting and started doing, momentum carried them forward. So if you're stuck, don't overthink. Wait for clarity, energy, or permission. Force yourself to act. Write the sentence. Make the call. Take the step. That one moment of courage will change your entire direction. Because once you're in motion, you become powerful. And once you become powerful, success no longer seems out of reach. It becomes inevitable.